Hey, Ball State fans, we're wrapping up the month of February with another edition of This Week in Ball State Sports. Director of Athletics Jeff Mitchell's on with us first, and then Ball State radio and TV analyst for men's basketball David Ehad joins us as well. Jeff, thanks for hopping on, and can't believe we're 2 months into 2025.
Well, Mick, thank you for having me. And yeah, time flies when you're having fun. So it's good to be here at the tail end of basketball season, playing some meaningful basketball as we head into March.
That's right, March Madness is upon us. We just say it's Action Madness as soon as January starts, and then we have March Madness when it eventually hits. But with women's basketball, they got out of Central Michigan with a win, overtime game. Just a gritted out fight type of game, coming back to Muncie with a dub.
Yeah, going on the road is difficult in and of itself, especially this time of year, and especially when you're playing a team that's been playing really well, as Central Michigan has been, and they played well again last night. We had opportunities to try to pull away, couldn't do it, and it led to an overtime type of game, and our team's resilient, and they've proven that for the past couple of years, certainly this year. And yes, they've been in a little bit of a slide the last few games, but this team does know how to win, and they figured it out last night. So very proud of them for doing that. Again, an accomplishment on the road, and now with 3 games left, looking to finish strong going into the conference championship, and that's going to be a fun environment, I think, in Cleveland for this team. And looking forward to this last week of the regular season. The women are on the road on Saturday, and then finish the season at home with games on Wednesday and next Saturday.
Jeff, what I loved about Coach Brady Selly's comments on post-game radio with Dom Leacane, he said, Did we have a losing streak before today? He's like, I'm trying not to remember what happened before. I was focused so much on winning today. And it seems like that mentality was picked up by the team. It was, hey, we just have to find a way to win. And when we get back in the win column, everything starts to take care of itself.
Yeah, winning's a habit. And when you focus on anything but winning, it gets in the way. It's a distraction. And so the mentality that our team has, and really what a lot of our teams have within our athletics department, is we've got to figure out a way to win today. And when we figure that out, it develops a habit. And so and look, it doesn't mean that you're going to win them all, but the mentality can stay consistent. And that mentality certainly was on display last night with our women's basketball team. And it is a mantra within that locker room of, let's win today, let's fight. And I think those were some of the comments that Coach Silly made post game, and in addressing his team as well. So again, very proud of that team and that program for figuring out a way to win. It makes for a much rather or much better bus trip coming down from Michigan after a win than the alternative, and certainly gives them some momentum going into the final week of the season.
And that's now 4 straight 20-win seasons for this group of women's basketball, 8 in the last 10 years.
Yeah, just super impressive, and a credit to the type of talent that Coach Silly and his staff have been bringing to Muncie, the culture that they're creating in that locker room, the style of play that is the hallmark of Ball State basketball on the women's side, and a testament to our fans and the loyalty and the commitment to our program that our fans have. And you put those things together, and you have a recipe for sustainable success. And so, very proud of that team, and again, so excited to watch them continue to compete as we go through the remainder of the season.
Like Jeff said, 2 more home games, Buffalo and Ohio in March, but this Saturday on the road for one more road trip before Cleveland arrives. So that is coming up March 12 through 15 are the dates for men's and women's basketball in Cleveland. Jeff, on the men's basketball side, 3 games to go there. They have the opposite. They have 1 home game left against Central Michigan on March 4th, and then 2 road games. First coming up Bowling Green Saturday, and then they finish the season at Miami. Big stretch.
Yeah, the calendar flips to March on Saturday, which is when we are on the road against Bowling Green, and we're playing meaningful basketball in March as we're fighting for the opportunity to play in the conference tournament. and our guys are playing better. We had a great game earlier this week against Akron at home. It was a good college basketball game. Akron's a very good team and the class of our league right now. But I continue to be encouraged by the way we're playing and the way we're competing. And with 2 of 3 on the road now in the last week of the season, we are going to have to really compete. And I look forward to watching the guys on Saturday and seeing how they look. And I think again they've gotten better over the course of the season. Coach Lewis post game said, "Yeah, we're an improved basketball team," and so I think they'll utilize some of that momentum going into the final week of the season. And look forward to watching them at home next Tuesday in Worthen Arena as we celebrate our seniors. And we've got a lot of guys on that team that some of whom have been here for a while, and a few that have only been here for a short time. But we look forward to celebrating them and thanking them for their numerous contributions to our team.
That'll be a really fun celebration. Players, managers as well, being honored there on Senior Day for Ball State men's basketball coming up on March 4th against Central Michigan. Jeff, softball is off to a hot start. 7-2 record. Haley Urban just won MAC Player of the Week. That team is on a great start of the season.
They are, and they're fun to watch. That culture is exceptional in that locker room. Coach Helen Pena and her staff have done a remarkable job at continuing to develop that talent in that program. And so it's no surprise to me that they've had the 2 great weekends that they've enjoyed to start the season, and looking forward to watching them continue to compete. But offensively, they are tearing the cover off the ball, and Haley's certainly an example of that with her Player of the Week honors. But the adage that hitters hit, that's Haley, and that's a lot of our team right now as we're putting up a lot of runs and we're pitching well, playing good defense. And so to start the season 7-2 is pretty remarkable. And we've played some tough competition, and looking forward to continuing to watch them play and grow and develop as the season goes on. Lot more softball yet to go.
Yes, there is a lot. You mentioned the offense. There are 7 players, Jeff, hitting above 333 right now that have regular playing time in Ball State's lineup. Haley Urban, looking at the numbers, leads at a 471 clip. 3 home runs, 5 runs batted in, slugging over 1,000. That'll get you Player of the Week honors.
Yes, it will. Yeah, she's fun to watch.
And nobody's pitching to Michaela Timmons. She only has 2 home runs because she's one of the most feared hitters in the country. So that'll change.
Well, she got in a situation where they had no choice but to pitch to her in a couple of games over this past weekend, and she made them pay.
She only has 19 at-bats this year because of the amount of walks that she's drawing. And just looking at the numbers, 10 walks, 19 at-bats. And, plate appearances near 30. But whenever your ratio is in that kind of position, you know that you're doing something right.
That's right. And, what's great about it is we've got players around her that are contributing. And so it's really a no-win situation for the opposing pitcher, and the strategy around how to attack our team and get outs. So it's a luxury when you've got a lineup that is hitting, and when your most feared hitter comes up to the plate, that there's no real strategy around how to get outs. So it's a good situation for Ball State softball right now.
Excited to see what that group does. 7-2 record so far. Their first home game March 11th. So we're getting closer to baseball and softball consistently being played in Muncie. We did have a baseball game this past week that was moved up to the earliest date that baseball's ever been played at Ball State here in Muncie. So that was a fun accomplishment. Cards weren't able to get it done against Illinois State, but looking forward to see them bounce back.
That's right. Yeah, spring's coming, Mick, and I'm excited about it and look forward to watching baseball and softball compete here in Muncie. And I know our student athletes are excited about that too. And both teams, of course, on the road this weekend and into next week as the university has spring break next week. So a lot of our student athletes will be on the road with their respective teams as we go into this week off.
Jeff, looking at some other accomplishments across the department, women's swim and dive at the championships of the Mid-American Conference set a new relay record on the opening day. Quite the accomplishment for that group.
Always good to set a record, team record, individual record, whatever the case may be. Coach Jay Agnew continues to develop his student athletes to be better and better in the pool, and proud of them as they are underway in conference championships right now.
Their score was 139.56 to break the Ball State program record. Congratulations to the women's swim and dive program on accomplishing that. Jeff, a sport that's not in season right now, but will have a little bit of a change, is the Ball State soccer program. Head coach Josh Reif took the job at his alma mater, Indiana. From a coaching search standpoint, what is that process looking like right now?
Yeah, so this is a little bit of an out-of-cycle search, and what I mean is the women's soccer season is a fall sport, and typically when the coaching carousel begins, it would begin shortly after the season. So you're talking about a November timeframe where searches are completed late November, early December. So with the shift at Indiana and with Coach Reif accepting the job there in February, it just creates a little bit of an interesting time frame for a coaching search. So I met with our team a couple of different times to talk to them about a process and to acknowledge that it was a little bit different. It's out of cycle, but it doesn't change how we're going to approach the search and how we are currently approaching the search. And we are currently interviewing candidates, and the time frame is not as important as getting the right person is. However, because our student athletes are training in the spring, we have a short spring season that will begin after spring break. There is some urgency into having a new head coach on campus, and so we are working with great deliberate speed to hire a new coach. But the search is going well right now. I look forward to introducing our new head coach to the community in due time. But we're having a lot of interest in the job, which I did expect. And so we're going through and having some really good conversations. I'm having conversations with people. Our executive team is having conversations with interested candidates, and we'll narrow the pool down to a handful of candidates here soon, and begin getting down to that preferred and final candidate in short order. So I fully anticipate over the course of the next couple of weeks that we'll have a new coach and welcome that individual into the Cardinal nest, and excited to get going with a new era of women's soccer here at Ball State.
And we're excited to see how that process unfolds, and when a new coach is named, we'll be ready and excited for it. Jeff, more of a personal question for you. You've now been the Ball State Director of Athletics for almost 2 years. What have you learned most about being an AD?
Well, Mick, that's a great question, and I appreciate it and the opportunity to talk about it. You know, I've had the good fortune of serving as interim AD for a couple of different stints at two different institutions, and certainly at Ball State, having the ability to serve on a permanent basis. You know, there's so much information and so much activity that happens on a daily basis. I think the biggest thing for me is surrounding myself with really talented leaders. And so I've been really fortunate to assemble teams, and I've had to make some adjustments too over the past couple of years as talented staff members have departed for other opportunities. And we continue to recruit really outstanding leaders in our field. And I get to put this talent in place to help us lead our department. And as we continue to make adjustments to improving the student athlete experience and improve the competitive excellence that we enjoy in our department, being nimble, being patient at times, I think are two things that I've really focused on in the past couple of years that I've learned in sitting in the chair. I'm as competitive as they come, and at the same time, there's a holistic view of the world that I have to have sitting in this chair and being a representative of the broader university. But that requires patience, and it requires some vision, and it requires the opportunity to work collaboratively, not only with people within our department, but across campus. And sometimes it's really important to spend a significant amount of time evaluating what we have and trying to plan in a very thoughtful way about what we can achieve going forward. So we're doing a lot in the areas of championship performance that has taken some time to evaluate and to establish a strategy going forward. And really grateful for the entirety of our executive team, and especially Dr. Lindsey Blom, who is overseeing that championship performance area, as we make great strides in caring for our student athletes, and from a strength and conditioning standpoint, from a mental health perspective, to sports medicine, to sports science, to nutrition. I can go on and on about the various areas of the department and the work that we're doing. And we can save that for another episode, Mick, because I'd like to get in more about some of the priorities that we're looking at right now. The other thing that I would address about what I've learned is how rapidly our enterprise is changing. We've probably undergone the most significant changes in intercollegiate athletics in the last 4 or 5 years than the enterprise has experienced to date. So as we continue to adjust, that attitude of being nimble is really important, and we just have to continually pivot and be able to shift the way we think, shift how we adjust to some of the increased demands that are coming our way. And, we're going to face a really transformational period in intercollegiate athletics and higher education generally in the next few years as our business model shifts, and new benefits are going to be afforded to student athletes. We're going to face just continual changes to education in the higher ed realm. And what's so valuable about a place like Ball State is that we're positioned to do it and do it well. And I'm grateful for the alignment that we have on this campus, where the university programs and the emphasis on student success is reinforced at every turn. And so I've got a great group of teammates that sit on the president's cabinet, and we certainly have the support of the president and the board of trustees with specific regard to athletics. And we got to keep pushing, and we got to keep prioritizing student success in the various forms in which that comes from an athletics lens. And I'm really excited about it. And is it different? 100% it is. Will it be challenging? Absolutely. Can we do it? And do we have a great opportunity ahead at Ball State? Absolutely. So I'm really looking forward to it. And Mick, that was a long answer to a short question.
No, I think that's great perspective, and I appreciate you sharing what you've learned and how to navigate this enterprise with being, having a nimble mindset. One thing that you said there that I find really intriguing is just the ability to adapt and have the willingness to adapt, and that the university is completely on board with the athletics side of things, being able to adapt, because you hear all the time of what's going to happen here. What is the deal with this? And you've mentioned several times in the podcast about the alignment and the direction that athletics is moving at Ball State in such a positive way. And I think that is just reinforcing to fans, to alumni, to the community that, hey, we are investing at Ball State in our department in athletics and not putting that on the back burner. And that is comforting to a lot of people to hear you reiterate that throughout the months, because as we get closer to these news items dropping, I think that you start wondering what's going to happen, and to hear you continuously reinforce it, I think that's good for people to hear.
Yeah, we're certainly operating from a position of strength, and that doesn't mean that we're not continuously looking to garner more resources and to do things in a different way. That's all part of the process and part of the challenge and the opportunity that we face here at Ball State, and that I join my colleagues across the country in doing the same thing. And it is uh, healthy and reassuring sometimes when I get on the phone with an athletic director colleague from another institution, similarly situated to Ball State, and we uh, we swap stories and we swap ideas, and it helps us grow and develop and think, because every campus is different, and the systems that are in place at our respective campuses, again, across the country, all vary. And you have to take advantage of the resources that you have at your disposal, and you have to be good stewards of those resources. And you can control things that this is oversimplifying it, but you can control what you can. And we try to do that in an extraordinary way here at Ball State. But as we look ahead to the future, we have to be curious about what that looks like, and how we're going to be competitive in sports that is going to enhance the reputation and prestige of the place, and how we're going to continue to foster student success. That's really important to me. And I've talked about my baseball field analogy, where the student athlete is the center of the diamond, the pitcher's mound, and that every decision that we make is going to be in the best interest of the student athlete. And first base is always going to be about commitment to academic excellence, something that we do really well here.
Yes.
Second base is going to be about a commitment to institutional integrity and institutional control, something again that we do very well here. And third base is about physical responsibility, physical integrity, again, something that we do really well here because we're good stewards of the resources entrusted to us. And when we do all those things, and when we keep the student athlete in the center of that diamond with how we support student success, then we've got a chance to touch home plate, which is winning championships. And I am thrilled with the way we're doing it right now. And do I want to touch home plate as often as we can? You bet I do. And I'm grateful for the talent that we have in our head coach's room. I'm grateful for the talent that we have across the entirety of our athletics department, in our senior associate ADs to our support staff. And our best days are ahead of us. And I believe that with my whole heart. And so it's exciting as we chart a path forward in this new era of higher ed and this new era of intercollegiate athletics. And it's a blessing to be here.
Very well said, Jeff. You say chart a new path forward. That's exactly what we did with the website. BallStateSports.com got an overhaul this morning, 9 o'clock. Has been the new website release. So check out BallStateSports.com. A lot of work went into that. Shout out to the communications staff for putting that new website together.
Yeah, and that's part of a broader strategy too that we've been working on is how we promote ourselves. It's something that we can control. We get a lot of free advice from the community that we're not seeing in papers, and and look, that is just something that has been going by the wayside across the country, and as newspapers shrink, as they collapse, as there's just not as much coverage there as there once was. And so it's incumbent upon institutions and athletics departments to prepare as much content as we possibly can. And I'll tell you something, Mick, and you know this, and you're certainly in charge of our broadcast strategy and a lot of our content strategy. The work that you do and your staff and our communication staff does to promote Ball State is outstanding. And I invite our fans to go and explore and be curious about it. And we've got this new website now that has more content, more video. It's more appealing to the eye when you click on it, and it should be more user friendly. It's easier to locate stories, easier to locate team schedules, and I'm really looking forward to having our community be able to go to ballstatesports.com and navigate what we have with this new website, and certainly open to continual feedback about how we can improve and make it better. But the content that our department continues to produce and the partnership that we have with Ball State Sports Link is exceptional, and it's at a different level than anybody else in our league, and it is among the best in the country. And so the content's there, the information is there, the stories are there, and we invite our fans to explore more deeply about the message that we're sending and the narrative around Ball State and the opportunities that we have to share our story and the opportunities we have to highlight our talented student athletes. And this website is certainly a great way to do that as we continue to push forward.
And the best part is you don't have to change what you type in. Stays ballstatesports.com, just a fresh new update. That's
right.
That's easy for everybody to remember. Ballstatesports.com, check it out. Appreciate all the work behind the scenes from so many on that. Jeff, we've covered a lot of ground here today, but is there anything left in the tank that you want to share with Ball State fans before we let you go?
Hey, let's celebrate basketball down the stretch, volleyball as well. Got a big match against Ohio State as this podcast drops, and we're looking forward to seeing everybody at Worthen here over the next couple of weeks to celebrate volleyball and basketball down the stretch of the hoop season.
Glad you mentioned volleyball because it's Ohio State tonight, and Ball State is bringing in or inviting high school volleyball players, both on the girls and boys side, for free entry because of the IHSAA opening up men's volleyball as a sport. Such a good celebration around that sport, and Ball State wants to invite all of that celebration to happen tonight. So make sure to check it out.
Should be fun.
Yep. Come on in. Worthen Arena. If you haven't got your spot yet, get your tickets at ballstatesports.com. But again, those students who have identification of their high school compete in volleyball, boys or girls, get in free to the game to Ball State, Ohio State tonight. Jeff, appreciate your time as always. Thanks so much.
Big thank you. Go Cards.
They fly down the court and fly through the air.
Right to left, the shifty guard pulls up straightaway three, sinks it.
And we fly with the Cardinals.
Straightaway Trey lets it loose and buries it.
This is your home for Ball State Cardinals basketball.
Drives baseline left, he throws it off the window and it drops in.
All the action all season long is right here.
Talking some Ball State men's basketball, radio and TV analyst David Ehoff, former point guard for the Cards, joining us. Good to see you. Good to chat.
Good to see you, Mick. Always great to be on the pod.
So let's break down this men's basketball team. They're 4-2 in the last 6 games. It seems like they have found the stride and found what works for them. And the 2 losses they've had in this 6-game stretch have been by 2 possessions combined, and by 3-point stack or 1 point to Toledo. What have you seen during this 6-game stretch that has this team in a groove?
Well, a couple things. First, Mick, offensively, this team is humming. I mean, they are clicking on all cylinders, very efficient. They're moving and passing the basketball unselfish. Offense has not been a problem whatsoever. And so for the Cardinals, and it's no secret here, it's all about defense. And, again, it's been a great stretch for the Cardinals. The one area that I see where they can still work on a little bit is just the finite details. Things like blocking out, eliminating some of the late game second chance opportunities. But guys have bought into their role. They're playing together. For me, it's all going to be about what happens on the defensive end these last few games.
And the defensive end is something that's been hard to try and stop some of these teams. Like Akron put up, 80-plus points. But when we saw the Toledo game, held the Toledo's high-octane offense to 67, this team has it in them to do that type of defense. When you're looking at what they have coming up with Bowling Green, Central Michigan, and Miami, these are 3 big tests to see what this defense can do to end the MAC regular season.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And, the one thing that we've seen is the Cardinals tend to struggle if the other team has a 5-man that can stretch the floor and want to make the Cardinal bigs, Peyton Sparks and Ben Hendricks, move away from the basket. Now, you won't have that with Bowling Green, but you will have that with Central Michigan and Miami. So that and the ball screen coverage is something the Cards are going to definitely want to fine-tune in these last 3. But, look, Cardinals have done a terrific job rebounding the basketball. They're not turning it over. And, this coming game against Bowling Green, if you look back on it, Mick, that was probably the most complete effort that we've seen this season. And so I think that is the key is can the Cardinals put together a full 40 minutes? We've seen it at stretches. I mean, competing with Akron for the bulk of those games, but it's just a 4 or 5 minute stretch where maybe things go a little bit sideways. But look, and I think that's why Michael Lewis is bullish. Is there's still room for this team to grow and get better.
And that is an interesting proposition when you're this deep into the season, 28 games through, still room for growth and to get better. A lot of teams can't say that, E. A lot of teams, when you get to the start of MAC or a few games into the MAC, oh, this is who we are. This is our team. We have to just win with what we have and play the way we have. For Ball State, it feels different because they are going on that uptick. And like you said with Coach Lewis's comments, feel like they can still get better. That's a rare thing to have this late in the season, to still have that trajectory going up like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you are who you are at this point in the year, right? But what the Cardinals, and we talked about it, it's eliminating those stretches. They have proven that they can guard in the half court. So it's eliminating those little 5-6 minute stretches where they allow the other team to go on a roll. If the Cardinals can fine tune some of that and, again, eliminate some of the communication errors on defense, they've shown that they're more than capable of putting together a good defensive effort. And with the veterans and the fact that they can shoot the three, you've got an inside presence. I think that's what's intriguing to all of us, Mick, is if you get on a neutral floor, the Cardinals have the weapons and have the players that they could get on a heater in Cleveland and do some damage.
Absolutely, and that Cleveland run is about to come to fruition for a lot of teams. 8 of the 12 make it, of course. Ball State currently sitting in 7th. Technically a three-way tie for 6th place with Western Michigan and Eastern Michigan all at 7 and 8. And then Central Michigan and Bowling Green are just a game back from all three of those teams. So you have two teams that Ball State has that are below them in the standings upcoming, but both on the schedule. This is a chance to control your own destiny in the ultimate way. You win these games, you're getting to Cleveland. It seems that it's that simple.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, if you think back to last year, how frustrating it was when it wasn't in your hands, right? And so this is all you can ask for. If you go out and take care of business, you play your way in. And, it's easy to look at of the 3 games, they're all going to be huge. Let me tell you, Bowling Green is playing some very good basketball. They started out 2-7 in the league. They've won 4 of their last 6, 3 consecutive road wins. There are only 2 losses. I think a 5-point game to Ohio and 7 to Kent State. So
Yep.
They knocked off Toledo on the road. They are very thin. Trey Thomas broke his leg. Of all the injuries, now they are one more player down. They're essentially down to a 7-man rotation, but they're playing very good basketball. And so Saturday, it's not going to be easy. The Cardinals are going to have their hands full with all 3 of the opponents, but really Saturday, a huge game and opportunity also.
You mentioned 4 of the last 6 have been wins for Bowling Green. They've beat Toledo and Eastern Michigan on the road in back-to-back games. You mentioned the injuries that the Falcons have faced. Javonte Campbell has stepped up to the plate for them, 23.5 points, 4 assists, 5.5 rebounds, 2.5 steals per game in the last 4. So you got to circle Campbell. Everybody talks about Johnson, but Campbell seems to be that X factor right now for BG.
It's incredible the run that he is on right now. 94 points in the last 4 games, including the game winner at Toledo. I think he had 25, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, got to the line 13 times against Eastern Michigan. And Mick, what's unique about Campbell is he's not a guy that shoots the 3. He's had struggles with a hand injury, but forget that. He's only has 11 made threes. So it's very rare in this day and age to see a guy putting up those numbers and not doing much damage from behind the arc. He's a great driver. He's very good at finishing around the rim. He gets to the free throw line. With Trey Thomas, Trey Thomas was one of their 4 double-figure scorers. He's done for the season. And Javonte Campbell has definitely stepped up his game. He is going to be a handful, but the Cardinals have to put the clamps on Campbell if you want to come out with a road win on Saturday.
Taking one step further, looking at Central Michigan, Ball State's last home game on March 4th after the Bowling Green game. Central Michigan's also starting to get hot at the right time. They've won 2 straight games at Western Michigan and against Buffalo. Central Michigan goes to Eastern Michigan, plays at Ball State, and then hosts NIU. Central Michigan also controls its own destiny to get to the Mid-American Conference Tournament. They're going to play motivated basketball. When you look at what Central Michigan has done as they're getting healthier too, what do you see from that team?
Well, I see a big that didn't play against the Cardinals in the first game that absolutely is on fire, and you're going to have to help me out with his name, Mick. Igneous Jaravicius. I'll give it a shot.
They call him. I think they call him Jay.
Absolutely, he's leading the Mid-American Conference in scoring right now. He can shoot the 3. He's one of the top rebounders in the conference, and so Central has had injury issues as well. But the way Jaravicius is playing right now, they are a tough out for anybody they're coming up against because they've got size. They like to get out and run. And then they've got Anthony Pritchard, one of the best perimeter defenders as well. So they've been up and down, but they're as healthy as they've been all season. And again, it's going to be a very, very tough game Tuesday night at Worthen.
If I remember right, they call him Oogie. So if that helps, I think that'll.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
But that's an important, good addition for Central Michigan to have in the back pocket for them to finally get healthy, because they had a roster of several 7-footers or near 7-footers that basically they've all been out this year, and then they get some healthy guys back, and it changes the roster because Central Michigan has a quad 1 win this year in non-conference play. And when they had some big wins early in the season, everybody thought they were going to be at the top of the league. Well, they suffered some of the worst injuries in the conference along with Bowling Green, and they're getting healthy at the right time. So it'll be very interesting to see how that goes. And then Ball State finishes the season on the road at Miami, rivalry game on ESPNU that was picked up. But, of course, you can hear our crew on the Gamebridge Radio Network. So that's a one way to end this regular season is at Miami in a rivalry game.
Yeah, I mean, and look, you got to hand it to Travis Steele. They are playing really good basketball. He added 3 important transfers out of the portal, and they've made Oxford a tough place to go into and win. Their crowds are as large as they've been in probably the last 8 or 9 years, and so they've really got it going there. And they've got veterans on that ball club as well. So it's a tough 3-game stretch, Mick. They're all important. And you can't win 3 until you win 1. So all the focus right now has just got to be on Bowling Green on Saturday. And, one of the things that's going to be interesting, Mick, about that game coming up, I watched the Bowling Green Toledo game. They played zone defense the entire game against the Rockets. Now, I haven't watched against Eastern Michigan, but with a short roster – and it's going to be interesting. I don't think the Cards have played a game all year where it's been zone the entire time. Now, they'll mix it up. They'll play some matchup or 2-3, but that's just one other dynamic to look for on Saturday at BG.
It is, and I'd be curious to see how Ball State breaks that. Looking at some of the spectacular performances from the last few games, Jamari Fathill, new career best at the Division I level last game against Akron. T.J. Birch was an absolute spark plug off the bench against Akron, putting up a really good performance with limited minutes. When you see what Ball State's doing, we talked about the overall aspect of them playing better the last 6 games and improving in this area and that area, but the individual performances are coming together too, and looking specifically at somebody like T.J. Birch that comes in 10 minutes off the bench, goes 7 points, and really starts to facilitate the offense. Those things help too.
Yeah, there's no question about it. I mean, the Cardinals have some depth, maybe not as much as Akron, but a guy like TJ Birch who hasn't played a lot, I thought that was huge, not only for the contribution that he made in the game, but for his own confidence. When you haven't played that much, to come in to be able to score. And Michael Lewis pointed it out. He had a couple of really nice assists that maybe he wouldn't have made earlier in the year. So credit to TJ for being ready. And you talk about Fat Hill. I mean, my goodness, he's definitely the impact player this year for the Cardinals and really throughout the Mid-American Conference. But, again, Mick, it's all going to come down to the other end of the floor. We could talk about, look at what Mickey Pearson did the other day.
Right, yeah.
Porcito can go crazy. Of course, Peyton Sparks. This team can score with the best of them. It's going to be about defending, and you're going to need all 8-9 guys that get in there to defend and do the little things, block out, communicate so you don't have errors on pick and roll coverage. The defense is going to take the Cardinals as far as they can go. Offense, definitely not an issue.
So let's look at where the standings shake out. You have Akron at 14-1, Miami's 12-3. Kent State, Toledo, and Ohio, all 9-6 in a three-way tie for third. And then you got a three-way tie for sixth, 7-8 with Western Michigan, Ball State, Eastern Michigan, Central Michigan, and Bowling Green at 6-9, Buffalo 3-12, NIU 1-14. So that's where things go 1 through 12. Top 8 make it to Cleveland. Yeah, I feel like we say this every year, but it comes down to literally the final couple of games. And this year, the margin razor thin with 10 teams legitimately in the playoff hunt. This will be fun.
Yeah. And it's one of the things I kind of like about this new format. It really does put so much emphasis on the regular season and playing your best basketball at the end. And so, everybody's going to be scoreboard watching. After the debacle we had last year on all the tiebreaker scenarios, I don't think either of us are going to tweet anything that the MAC office tells us. We'll let them take care of it. But it's going to be interesting this last week of the season, to be sure. But you mentioned it earlier. Cards control their own destiny. So try not to worry about everybody else. It's in your hands if you go out there and take care of business.
That is perfectly well said. Take care of business. Cards have the ball in their court. Really appreciate your time as always. We'll see you Saturday. Safe travels to Bowling Green, my friend.
Sounds good, Mick. We'll see you then.
Thanks for listening to This Week in Ball State Sports, presented by Gainbridge. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Gainbridge Ball State Cardinals Sports Network.